This is the Pepsi Live for Now ad campaign, and I'm Finn Beisenhertz.
I'm Joe Padilla.
I'm Annabelle Thomas.
I'm Monse Diaz.
And I'm Blake Buckland. Motivation and strategy behind the campaign. What motivated the campaign? Pepsi wanted to connect to a younger, more socially conscious crowd, and the aim was to show that Pepsi supports activism, peace, and unity, especially during a time of civil unrest and political division. So they brought Kendall Jenner in, who's a model and influencer, to appeal to a younger demographic, and they also had Skip Marley, Bob Marley's grandson, singing his song Lions, which focuses on injustice and inner strength, which was a great fit for the campaign's message. So the ad showcased a staged peaceful protest symbolizing unity and diversity, and had Kendall Jenner handing a can of Pepsi. So Pepsi was kind of jumping on a growing trend of purpose-driven advertising that had been taking place during the same time period. And some examples of that were Nike's equity campaign, which promoted racial and gender equality, and Airbnb's hashtag We Accept campaign, supporting refugees and inclusivity, and Heineken's World Apart campaign, encouraging conversations across political divides.
This is the reaction to Pepsi's campaign and the role social media had. So many of its viewers felt as though the ad had trivialized serious social justice movements, specifically the Black Lives Matter movement. Pepsi's imagery, such as protesting, painting the ad to be a more commercialized and insecure message, appearing to exploit the real life struggles of social and racial equality in order to sell their soda. Many felt as though the ad tried to turn emotional issues into a feel good moment that was centered solely around a celebrity, in this case, Kendall Jenner, who has had no background in activism, ultimately making the ad tone deaf and feel out of touch. Social media played a major role in amplifying the backlash towards Pepsi after the release of the ad. Immediately after, the ad faced an immense amount of negative reactions online, including multiple tweets from influential figure Bernice King. The speed and intensity of this criticism took to many platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, creating a PR crisis for Pepsi. As a result, in the end, the company was forced to pull the ad and issue an apology, happening within one day of its release.
All right. These are the impacts and repercussions that Pepsi faced after its disastrous Live for Now ad campaign. The biggest negative impact for Pepsi came from its public perception polls after this ad aired, which came to a 10-year low and took 9 months to recover. The outrage that this ad caused did not affect short or long-term sales, with Pepsi even managing to outperform Wall Street's projected second quarter revenue by $170 million. Now, the reason that Pepsi was able to escape without any financial hits and minimal long-term harm to brand image was because of their crisis management. The one thing about this advertising and PR disaster that Pepsi handled very well was the crisis control. Unlike Budweiser with Dylan Mulvaney, they removed the ad from circulation and issued a formal apology within 24 hours, which resulted in Pepsi not facing any boycotts. While this ad was undoubtedly a disaster, the way it was handled allowed Pepsi to suffer no short or long-term financial consequences while also mitigating damage to the brand image. The biggest impact, arguably, was on brand decision making after this campaign because Pepsi did not run any more social justice based advertisements from then until pretty much now. After this ad campaign, they came out with lighthearted campaigns that got back to true Pepsi advertising with That's What I Like and Is Pepsi Okay, which used its famous Super Bowl commercial with Steve Carell and Cardi B. Pepsi seems to have learned from its mistakes and has returned to classic feel good advertising centering around celebrities and fun music. An important lesson that it seems Pepsi did learn is that they have followed the lead of many large corporations and made sizable donations to different activist groups without centering ads around it as a more authentic way of showing support.
The challenges of integrating pop culture into advertising. One of the first challenges Pepsi has encountered while doing this campaign is not doing enough research about the pop culture they're integrating into their ad. They did not make sure that each pop culture was relevant to each other, so they failed to do research on Kendall Jenner, she has no history of previous engagement with social issues and causes. And the song they used for the ad did not correlate with the tone of community within the ad because the lyrics were pretty serious. And um, this ended up with other pop culture media using this Pepsi ad to make parodies and to highlight their tone deaf ad. Um, so, with using popular music within ads, um, it's considered debatable and potentially controversial, often referred as bankruptcy of culture. Overall, the overall challenge is that the lack of objectivity in pre-campaign research is ultimately the reason why Pepsi failed at integrating pop culture compared to Coke's Vietnam War campaign.
This is advice for brands considering social issue-oriented advertising. My first set of advice is understand the complexity of the issue. Pepsi did not see the full extent of the issue. These complicated topics were painted in a lighthearted and simple manner, neglecting the reality of the issues. My advice for brands looking to do this is you need to create a campaign that shows empathy and solidarity for the movement over anything else. My second advice is center the cause and not the brand. Pepsi's biggest mistake was centering the ad around the brand, saying it could help solve the problem instead of centering the ad around the movement itself. This proved to be detrimental, and brands looking to do similar strategies need to position themselves as an ally to the movement they're advertising for, and not the hero in the situation. And then how can brands avoid what happened to Pepsi? I think overall they need to show a genuine commitment to the cause. Um, they need to avoid oversimplifying the issue and aim to represent the communities that the social issue oriented advertising is targeted at.
Thank you for watching our presentation.